The Stark Varg has been the undisputed king of electric motocross, the bike every builder measures against, the machine that made gas guys actually shut up and pay attention. But something just shifted. In the last few months, a wave of new electric bikes have hit the market that are so fast, so light, or so absurdly overpowered that trail systems and race organizers are scrambling to figure out what to do with them. Some of these machines are already getting riders kicked off public land. The bikes on this list are the reason, and by the end, you're going to see one that honestly shouldn't exist. Number 5. Bonnell 775 MX. First up is something that's causing absolute chaos on shared use trails, and it's not even technically a motorcycle. The Bonnell 775 MX packs 6,000 watts of power into a 75-pound frame that looks, and I mean identical to, a regular mountain bike. Riders are calling it the Ghost because you can pedal this thing onto any trail, flip a switch, and suddenly you're ripping past hikers at 35 miles per hour with zero engine noise. For context, most e-mountain bikes are capped at 750 watts by law. This thing runs 8 times that, and it hides all of it. The motor is tucked into the bottom bracket area. The battery is integrated into the down tube like Gearupe, and unless you physically pick this bike up and feel how suspiciously heavy that frame is, you'd never know you were looking at something with more power than a small motorcycle. It even has functional pedals. You can actually pedal assist up a climb at low speed, then unleash the full 6,000 watts on the descent and blow past riders on $10,000 carbon downhill rigs like they're standing still. Bike Magazine ran a feature on the Bonnell asking whether it's an eMTB or an electric motorcycle. Their verdict was 80% moto, 20% mountain bike. And here's the catch. Because it looks like a bicycle, there's genuinely no legal framework to stop it in most states. No plate, no registration, no VIN. It's a gray area on 2 wheels, and the forums are losing their minds over whether this thing is genius or a ticking time bomb for trail access. But if you think 6,000 watts hidden in a bicycle frame is sneaky, you haven't seen what Talaria just brought to the table. Number 4. Talaria Sting MX5 Pro. The Sting MX5 Pro, which I'm calling the sellout because it literally sold out on launch day, pushes 13.4 kilowatts through a chassis that weighs just 165 pounds. That's 45% more power than the previous Sting in a frame that barely gained any weight. To put that in real-world terms, 13.4 kilowatts is roughly 18 horsepower, which doesn't sound insane until you remember this bike weighs less than most adults. The power-to-weight ratio here puts it in striking distance of bikes costing 3 times as much. And before you say it in the comments, yes, Talaria's build quality has been hit or miss in the past. The original Sting had wiring harnesses that looked like they were routed by someone who'd never seen a motorcycle before. And the forums were full of guys rewiring their controllers within the first month. But the MX5 Pro is their first bike where the chassis actually feels like it was engineered for the power it's making, not bolted together over a long weekend. The swing arm is beefier, the controller is sealed and properly cooled, and the throttle response has been smoothed out so it doesn't try to buck you off every time you touch it from a standstill. The demand on this one was so intense that dealers couldn't keep them in stock. At roughly $4,700, it's the cheapest high-performance emoto on the market by a wide margin. I know what you're thinking. It's just hype, maybe. But when a bike sells out before a single review drops, that tells you the community has been waiting for exactly this. And the early rider feedback is backing it up. The MX5 Pro apparently pulls hard enough in hyper mode to loop out if you're not careful. And in the lower power settings, it's one of the most beginner-friendly trail bikes on the market. That versatility is what makes it dangerous. Not just to riders, but to every brand trying to sell you a $10,000 alternative. Talaria built a bike that a 16-year-old can learn on, and a 30-year-old veteran can hoon through the woods on. And they did it at a price point that makes the competition look embarrassed. Number 3. Altis Sigma. Now, the Talaria solved the value equation. But there's one thing it still can't do, and that's hit highway speed. That's exactly where the Altis Sigma steps in. Here's where the list gets genuinely controversial. This bike runs a 98-volt electrical system. For reference, the Sur-Ron Ultra Bee runs on 60 volts, so this thing has over 60% more electrical headroom, pushing it to a top speed of 81 miles per hour. That's faster than most riders will ever need, and faster than many gas-powered enduros. And here's the part that makes people's jaws drop. It retails for $5,500. I need to stop here for a second because something nobody is talking about is the insurance and liability nightmare these bikes are creating. When a $5,500 machine can outrun a police cruiser on a fire road, we're entering territory the sport hasn't dealt with before. California already passed Section 436.1 in late 2025, classifying any electric off-highway motorcycle the same as a gas one, meaning you need a green sticker registration to ride on public lands. Bikes like the Sigma are exactly what that law was written for. That said, the Sigma's braking and suspension are solid for the price. 4-piston hydraulic brakes with thick rotors and no fade. But they're not on the same level as premium European MX-grade components. So if you're planning to actually use that top end, you'd better budget for suspension upgrades or you're going to learn some expensive lessons fast. At this point, you might think we've hit the ceiling. We haven't even gotten close. Number 2. Sur-Ron Ultra Bee HP. The Sur-Ron Ultra Bee HP puts down 21 kilowatts. That's roughly 28 horsepower on tap, and launches from 0 to 31 miles per hour in 2 seconds flat. To put that in perspective, that kind of acceleration is on par with race-prepped gas 4-strokes, costing twice the price. This bike is matching them off the line, silently. The acceleration is so violent that multiple test riders have described the throttle response as digital whiplash. There's no power band to build through, no clutch to feather. You twist, and it hits you like a freight train made of silence. And Sur-Ron didn't just throw more watts at this thing and call it a day. The Ultra Bee HP runs a completely redesigned battery management system that distributes heat across the pack more evenly, which means you're not losing power after 15 minutes of hard riding the way the older Ultra Bee did. The front fork has been reinforced with over 50% more rigidity, and Sur-Ron's own traction control system keeps the rear end from stepping out on loose terrain. There's a reason this bike has been showing up uninvited at local hare scrambles and embarrassing riders on machines that cost twice as much. Sur-Ron built the Ultra Bee HP to dominate the mid-size emoto class, and at around $6,000, it's the most powerful bike you can buy at this price point. But here's the honest truth. Past 50 miles per hour, the power starts to taper, and the suspension, while improved, still isn't on the same planet as what you get from a European factory bike. So does it hold that advantage past the first straight? That's where bike number 1 enters the conversation. Everything we've talked about so far has been impressive. This next one is a different species. Number 1. Stark Varg MX 1.2. The Stark Varg MX 1.2 delivers 80 horsepower and 978 Newton-meters of rear-wheel torque, a number gas dirt bikes physically cannot produce at the wheel. And it does it at 260 pounds, within 15 of a Honda CRF450R. This is the machine Stark built after 2 years of fixing every complaint thrown at the original Varg: the software glitches, the overheating, the sketchy throttle mapping. The 1.2 isn't a revision, it's a statement. 5 customizable ride maps let you tune from 10 to 80 horsepower, adjusting engine braking, regen, and throttle response, all from the Arkenstone display on the bars, which is basically a military-grade Android phone built into the bike. What separates this from everything else on the list is liquid cooling for the battery. Most electric dirt bikes are air-cooled and start pulling power when things heat up. The Varg holds output significantly longer. 20 minutes into a moto, when an air-cooled emoto is fading, the Varg is still making full power. That's not a spec sheet advantage. That's the difference between winning and watching someone else's roost. Riders at the factory track in Spain say the torque makes gas 450s feel like they're running through molasses. Crack the throttle at half lean out of a corner, and the rear hooks up with a controlled violence that combustion bikes simply can't match. There's a reason the FIM Super Enduro series runs Stark Vargs. The brand won the manufacturer's championship on this platform. The price? Around $12,500 for the standard, $13,500 for the Alpha. Steep until you realize a KTM 450 SXF costs the same and needs a rebuild every 100 hours. The Varg needs a software update and a charge. We just went from a stealth mountain bike that's trolling hikers to an 80 horsepower factory weapon that outperforms a half-century of combustion engineering. That's not a product cycle. That's a revolution happening in real time, and most of the riding world hasn't caught up yet. So here's the question. If you had $12,000 right now, are you risking it on the Varg 1.2 or playing it safe with a proven gas 450? Drop your answer below, because that comment section is about to be a war zone. If you want to see our head-to-head range and lap time test between the Ultra Bee HP and the Varg 1.2, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Ride safe, ride silent. We'll see you on the trail.